Not only have I achieved the consumption of a chicken pot pie, but I've also hit daily number 654 part 2. Ooh yeah. Where we learn to crack our necks like a better gamer. We've seen this attack work very nicely from Jaedong. He's swarming in here, and he's doing some more of the usual techniques, getting the spire up as a follow-up, beginning to prepare this expansion for just, you know, being an expansion. He's preparing to hang out with a Lyote because they're pretty great pets. They don't do much but get in the way. And the big theme that I want to note from Jaedong is that he builds a force that would be needed to defend, and when no attack comes, he takes a portion of that force and sets it up to attack. I'm just going to say it one more time with his face on it for branding purposes. Jaedong will build a force to defend a big attack, and if no attack comes, he will take a portion of that force and move it to be aggressive. We're going to see it happen in a number of ways. Hitting the plus button, whoa, look at that mini-map vision, overlords, whoa, and even a link to check for expansions, whoa, whoa. So here's the force that's being built up, the usual defensive force. A very common technique is that without mutas, we spore up easy to drop locations. And late game, we also want to do the same no matter what we're doing. If there's spore crawlers here, the Mutalisk can become aggressive. Jaedong is setting himself up for aggression. I don't care how great Mutalisks are at defending drops. If he can't drop at all, we can attack. Ooh! I believe in the Dong. Our Dong, who art in Korea. Hallowed be thy Dong. So here's that force that got built up for defense. We just did the bust. We're going to get some Banelings up. So Jaedong is moving forward with this force. This is a very defensive move. Just pushing back and then retreating. But a portion of this force broke off to do some aggressive moves. Overlords continue to ring this outside edge. Technically, we don't have vision in this area, but functionally we do, because we're going to see anything entering it. This Overlord in the top left, he just sucks. We see this force being used for defense, and a portion of it being set up for offense. Ooh. Oh, there it is. There it is. This is what the Dong does. This is going to be even stronger if Maru begins to move out to the front. Mutalisk being produced, Burrow, another nice aggressive tool. Look at how fast a fourth Jaedong set himself up. Again, it's not a mass expanding strategy. I totally deceived you. But it still is one. Now this attack was blind. Actually, that's super important. Most of the time, excuse me, the chicken pot pie bubbles are coming back up. Most of the time, when we're talking about counterattack, it's a specified timing. Such as, oh, your army's moving towards me. Let me swing in some zealots because they're my backdoor mans. Very common Protoss counter warpin. Oh, here comes the push. Little Zerglings counterattack. Jaedong doesn't wait for the timing. For Jaedong, it's just what I said. Builds up an army to defend an attack. When no attack comes, breaks it off, moves in. So we see there, here's the Zerglings being broken off. Why? Because the army was too big. The defending army, that is. And just blindly marched in. Maru has plenty to defend it. Sometimes he won't. But Maru in this circumstance has plenty, so Jaedong just retreats. No big deal. Nothing lost. Why would Jaedong try to force a counterattack to work when there was no guarantee of it? Because Jaedong is going to maintain aggression. Here's the primary defending force. obviously kind of moving in a more of a forward position. But now these Mutalisks can be attacking. It's not all the units from Jaedong that are aggressive. These are aggressive, the Overseer and the Mutalisks. These are aggressive, these Zerglings. And then this gigantic ass force that's actually set to its own control group is the defensive tool. Really cool theme. We're going to see it throughout here. I believe that Jaedong saw a drop. Yep, there's a drop. So we're seeing the Mutalisks up here being defensive. These Zerglings here are going to be defensive. There's just enough for defense. And what was I talking about Jaedong doing throughout? Breaking off chunks to try to be aggressive, if he could be. This is still a rather defensive force, but I'm going to start being more nuanced than defensive and aggressive. This is obviously attacking aggressive force. This is obviously a defensive force. But notice that Jaedong is taking the bulk of this defensive force and moving it forward in a threatening position. This is where you can just do the dummy test. If my opponent is no defense, I will kill him because I passed the dummy test. But here, most of it is forward, just to keep the opponent back, and the Mutalisk can pull back at any time. Do la défense. Now, in terms of teching up, Jaedong is not even doing anything particularly incredible in terms of his composition. Lings mutas. Lings mutas. A hive when he can. If he doesn't do any craziness early on, that tends to be at about 15 minutes. Because he was delayed a little bit due to craziness, it is closer to 19 minutes. So Jaedong is building up a huge force for potential defense. Is anything coming? No. Is anything coming? No. No. So you know what? You know what Jaedong is going to do? He's going to build a big force for defense in a forward position. And then when Jaedong has to pull back, oh yeah, remember that force we broke off because the attack didn't happen? Well, we're going to use it for a counter now. Like almost every time. Now, I'm going to emphasize something right now that I know is going to be messed up in the future. If you build a huge force, and there is an attack coming, and you do need it for defense, don't break a small chunk off. If you build it and you see nothing, break off a chunk to prepare for counters. But only then. Like this attack. Jaedong broke off some roaches and other things to be able to pull off this counterattack that's doing magnificently. Jaedong's generally looking for these counter opportunities. I would just say that broadly. He's looking for just little counters and that sort of thing. But the same theme arises. Jaedong built up this big force for the defense. He saw nothing attacking. I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, if you look at this great minimap coverage, there's nothing here. Jaedong pretty much has a lockdown. But he's just breaking these chunks off before the attack. Very positional, conceptual stuff occurring. Now, in terms of the late game, you almost have it. It hurts my soul to say so, but you almost have to go Ultra Muta as your first round transition. You kind of have to. You've been upgrading the Lings to stay alive with Ling Baneling, the Mutals to control space. Ooh, excuse me. But Infestors will crop up if he's being really aggressive. Did Jaedong get the pathogen glands? Oh no! Oh, what's an error? Well, it's not really an error. If you're under pressure, I really think you gotta get this. And then in case you haven't been able to do the sort of pressure that Jaedong's doing, then you gotta get the Infestors to be able to use fungals. And to delay to ultras. But here I think Jaedong's fine going straight to ultras. You don't have to be as timing sophisticated wise as Jaedong. Just get the damn pathogen glands if you're unsure. More collisions occur. More indeed. And as these counterattacks succeed, this is when Jaedong springs forward with the defensive force. These are the defensive mutas. They're not hitting up here. They're not part of this counter force down here. The defensive force of Jaedong is just looking for opportunities. And this is one. Killed off 3 tanks, nice. Tiny little counters, but why the counters? Because Jaedong has a defensive force set up between these Ling Banelings and these mutas. Jaedong has himself a defensive force, and the little chunks get broken off after that. And Jaedong begins to actually, literally, and not in a deceptive way, mass expand. So the ultralisks can be produced right now, but they're not actually getting produced. God bless you, Jaedong, for getting the pathogen glands. Jaedong does something that we just don't see a lot of Zergs do. Build up the larvae and damonae, and then transition in a huge way when the time is right. What most people will do is they'll say, I am going ultras. Excuse me, they won't do that. They'll say, I am going ultras. We always use a Kermit voice when we want to be a little bit of a condescending bastard. Not to you, but to the imaginary somebody, the puppet viewer, who is simply there to be pooped on. So to you, my dear puppet, who is going, I will, excuse me, I will get ultralisks as fast as I can. Oh, now that the ultralisk cavern has been produced, the U button must be held. It will be held for now and for always. Throughout, we're going to see Jaedong in yesterday's daily and today's daily. He's going to have the tech available. He can build ultras, but he won't. He's going to continue building up this force. Only once Maru is battered down pretty badly and Jaedong's money is pretty high are we going to see Jaedong hold that U key. Why are these forces being split off? Because Jaedong built up enough stuff defensively. Look, he's still even adding on more Banelings and whatnot. He has enough stuff defensively that he's breaking off chunks to be aggressive. More Banelings being produced to be aggressive. Money being stockpiled. Expands are going up. Money's being stockpiled. No frickin' ultralisk being produced. You know what? Let's get some infestors out, shall we? There's the ultras coming up. Out of the blue, big swap to ultra infestor. A big, sharp, stark swap over. It's not building 2 ultras and then another one and then another one and then another one. It's 3 ultras with chitinous plating and 5 infestors all popping out, boom, at once. If Jaedong was getting attacked earlier, these wouldn't be in production. Not by a long shot. Maru is a freaking genius for being able to defend this for this long. But Jaedong's too damn good. There's a greater Spire tech. Do you think that Jaedong's going to begin just producing corruptors and then turning them piecemeal into corruptors? Hell no. Excuse me for yawning. Watching the dong is just sapping all energy from me. Defensive force over here on the pullback to allow the offensive chunks to do their dirty work. Whoops, I'm going to remove that observer cam. I mean, I don't really need to repeat that much. This is the first direct attack Jaedong's done all game long, and what do you know, it didn't pan out very well for Jaedong. What I think almost everybody would do, except the dong, is replenish with the scary big composition. They'd hold that U button, 100 Zerglings. Think of all that could have been made instead. That's 2,500 minerals right now in the form of those Zerglings. But This is the mobile force. This is the force that's good in small numbers. Overwhelming numbers of Zerglings. It's fast. It's sneaky. Jaedong wants to be able to be safe when he transitions. So Mass Lang, Mass Infester. Built all that stuff for defense. Didn't get attacked. Gonna try to go into offense. Here's the defensive forces. Pulling back. Yeah, really seemingly funky move to mass Zerglings, but of course, these can all be turned into Banelings on a dime. Yeah. Why am I so yawny? It might be because I don't sleep enough. I'm not sure. This game, I don't think I have a lot more to say, but 100 Zerglings buying time for the defense. This is perhaps the only really odd, notable time in the game where things are a little bit difficult to parse because they're inconsistent with everything we've said before. This is just Jaedong going, you know what? I've stockpiled all the gas I need. I'm going to get Zerglings to allow me to stay alive and be mobile in a way that saves all my gas to go for the Mass Broodlord. One of the latest transition to Broodlord Ultra you will ever see. So slow. Even had the Greater Spire up and built 100 Zerglings instead. This is what I think makes Jaedong so strong, is that he's not just trying to get things fast, he's trying to get things big. He's not going to get the quickest Ultralisks or the quickest transition to Broodlords, but when he does do it, it's going to be a massive shift. What he does until then is just build what he needs to for defense. And then begins one of the slowest kills of all time. Jaedong's kind of losing everything he owns, but it doesn't matter because nothing can kill this force. Where does Jaedong go? Does he go into the main? Kinda. First he wants to make sure that this base is cleaned up. Reducing expansion count is always more important than killing production. Bum ba bum 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 dun dun dun. Oh no! Jaedong retreats with the scary, scary army, but he doesn't attack. No, he doesn't attack. Instead, he kills the whole base and advances to the finals. Do 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 do. I hope there's not a crackle. It always messes up. Oh, we got a crackle? Test 2. Do we have a... You know what? We're going to go to a break, and when I come back from the break, I will have fixed a crackle. Because we're going to do the